Welcome to the Trashcats Trashcast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven.
And today we're regretting the choices we made along the way.
Today we're talking about the psychology of regret. How many people really do regret their tattoos? Speaking of which, how's yours healing up?
You know, I've had the thing for about 3 weeks now, and it's looking really nice. All the scab has kind of gone away. It looks natural. It looks good. So I've already booked my first tattoo removal appointment. I'm going to, have this one wax on, wax off. They'll take this one away, and I think I'll get something cooler. I'll get like a tribal sleeve or something.
Oh, yeah? You're just like a snake shedding its skin? You got the first tattoo, and you're moving on already, huh?
Yeah, you got to wipe the slate clean and go again.
Tribal tattoos really do get a bad rap, though. Like, there's so many cool versions of what could be in the genre of tribal, but it's just been ruined by so many dumb jocks and UFC fans.
Very well put. Very well stated.
But I really do love the layering of tattoos when people have like 2-3 coats of tattoos, or you start getting things removed or blacked out and tattooed with white. Like there is really cool ways that you can kind of avoid like mental regret. But it is interesting. Like, I feel like all our lives, old dumb people have told us we'll regret the changes we've made to our body. And I've just been curious how many people actually regret their tattoos.
Right.
Yeah.
How's your arm doing, your whole black work there?
Pretty good. I've had a couple small infections from before I blacked out this arm. I had some like scarification carvings I had done years ago, and I wasn't sure why it kept getting infected, and I think it was things in the old scarification were just pushing out of the skin once it was re-tattooed black. But I think it's finally healed up. I'm all the way up to my shoulder now, and now we got to start back over and hit everything again, basically. But it's doing well. It's looking good.
So you got to go start back over and like do all the things that he's already covered?
Yeah, it won't be to the same degree. It'll probably be like looking at every square inch, but not hitting like 50% of everything. Oof. You know what I mean? But yeah, it'll go a lot quicker. But I was watching some both technique and like theory stuff about black work, and some people really put a lot of like almost spiritual significance on blacking out your skin, and I don't feel that way quite about it, but it has been something that involves a lot of sacrifice to some degree, and it feels like the most transformative thing I've done in a while. Like, my back piece is it's definitely bigger. It might not be quite as much ink, but it's a way bigger piece of me, but I don't see it all the time. But to fully just black out my arm, it feels pretty transformative. I've liked it a lot. But
very fair.
I do want to preface this episode before we get into how our week is. I want to set the bar. This is an extra credit type of episode. You know what I mean? We're both sick.
You fucker should be so lucky.
We're both sick little trash cats. Separately sick, independently so, and we're both getting over various illnesses, and we just love you guys so much. We felt the need to record anyway.
We couldn't stay away.
Yeah, don't catch a virus through the internet on our behalf. So we're just going to try our best. I do think we got some fun things to explore, but yeah, we both feel like shit, and we're going to try our best with reading, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
We'll make it work.
The bar has been set low. We're about to limbo.
I mean, do we want to go through how was your week, or is that pretty much that sums it up?
Do you got anything? Like anything special?
Not really. I've just been sick.
Yeah, man, dude. I woke up with my eyes like glued shut the other day. Like, I don't think I've ever been like Sarah had it first because she gets every illness and brings it home to me. And she's like, oh, I have a gift for you. And it's a viral infection. I'm like, thanks, dear. But I got through the respiratory phase, and then my eyes got so sick. Like I looked perma-stoned for like 3 days and have just been weeping gunk out of my eyes.
Oh, that's disgusting.
It's been very gross. Like my eyelashes looked like I was a person who got left in the cold for too long. When you see one of those dudes that has like the icicle beards, I look like that.
Trippy.
Just my eyelashes. But I'm feeling better. Probably sound a little dumb, but I'm feeling better. Week's been okay. Took off work today, which is good. Got tattooed. Yeah. I finally broke the dry spell on art.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. I felt big. It's one of those things. I really have never stopped working. It's not like I just wasn't finishing anything I liked, but I never stopped working. I think that momentum is important as an artist. Like, even if you're not putting out stuff publicly or like, I don't know, just doing the stuff you want, like you're not satisfied, as long as you're still working on shit, that matters more because it's just such a momentum thing.
True.
So
I can see that.
Yeah. Finally broke the dry spell and doing okay. And
it's a great piece too. I really like it.
Thank you.
I think that's one of the ones I'm gonna get from you.
Remind me, because I haven't printed in a while, and I feel like my printer, all the nozzles are probably jammed full of dry ink. So I need to
I'll take a discount for being the guinea pig print, you know.
Absolutely.
It's got half of it's all dried up ink and shit. Just
it'll probably work all right for that piece, but any honorable mentions?
I do not.
Well, I have a dishonorable mention.
Oh, good.
I have been very frustrated with misleading news article titles. The headlines are so bad these days.
The worst, dude.
Oh my God. It's just they take the juiciest little tidbit completely out of context and say that's what the article is about. So
yeah,
I found an article titled Saturn's Rings Will Disappear in March 2025. And I see this, I'm concerned, right?
Yeah.
I like Saturn. I like their pretty rings. I don't want kids today to have to envision Saturn without its rings. That would be terrible. That is a sad thing.
Yeah.
So I opened multiple articles about this. I got CBS News and NASA, right? The first article, I find out that it's really just because the angle of Saturn is tilting.
Yeah.
that will be in direct view with the ring angle, so we won't be able to see it anymore as of 2025. And eventually they'll shift back into view. And then the second one is like, hey, Saturn's rings is actually falling apart. Right? Because it's the result of water in the atmosphere hardening into rock and stays in orbit. And it's like a cool floating minefield. But they're like, oh, it actually is falling out of orbit, but it's like in millions of years. It's like, why are we writing an article about this? I feel so misled by multiple articles. So my dishonorable mention is bad headlines. Read the article because no one does, and if you do, you'll know Mo the most people. I sound like a fucking idiot.
No, I mean I was gonna say I noticed the same thing. It's usually with different, like the one I see the most often that pisses me off is like whenever I see the news story shit lately is always like it's always some crazy shit like Trump receives nightmare news today, that breakthrough
Bombshell.
Nightmare news that's gonna, yeah, exactly. It's always like, oh, like what, did they come to a conclusion of anything? Did anything actually happen? And then they like talk about it and they're like, so someone said this, and to clarify, this could mean many things, and it doesn't actually mean anything has happened yet, or, you know, like
the court proceedings have been delayed as it goes to a higher court to get an ultimate ruling.
Yeah, and it's like there's all this other bullshit, and it's like there is nothing. This video is nothing sandwich. No. So
the thing is, though, is most of the Trump bombshells, they actually are pretty big deals. But
a lot of them are pretty wild, but they're still like nothing's happened of it yet.
Yeah. Like, oh man, that's funny. I do have one other. This is just an interesting thought. It was from this guy. I'm gonna butcher his name, John Vervecki. He was talking on some show I was watching, and it wasn't particularly good, but he had a couple interesting thoughts around the idea of existential disharmony, when you're just not harmonious to the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And his idea, I really like that. This is some hippie bullshit, right? But the world is in its own state, right?
Yeah.
Like the world has its own vibration or harmonious state. And as individuals, there's been all these articles and people talking about flow states, right? When you're in that state of mind that you're completely engaged in doing or creating or just existing, right? You're in that flow state. And his concept was essentially that some people's flow state is just inherently disharmonious? Disharmonious,
maybe? I don't know.
is harmonic?
Is not in harmony.
Yeah, that some people's flow state is just not in harmony with the world. And I really like that idea.
Yeah, I feel that shit, man.
Like what would be a perfect state of existence for me often does not feel that would be in the same harmony as the world. I don't know. I felt like some sort of like solace in. It's just one of those things when you hear somebody put an idea to words that you feel just kind of satisfying.
I feel like it's a fun, kind of flowery, but still effective way to describe what it feels like when like depression symptoms and shit like start to set in. When you start to notice them, and there's that feeling of like, I feel like every time there's a thing of like, am I like why am I so tired lately? Like why do I feel, so like why don't I want to do anything? Why do I feel? And then it's like, oh yeah, because you're fucking depressed. Like you gotta, recognize like, why do I feel like shit right now for the last week? And
I thought I was pregnant.
Right. And it's like, it doesn't dawn on me immediately. So like there's that thought of like, oh, okay, that's what's probably happening right now. I've been more or less over the last few years, like trying to describe more of what it's like to my mom, because she doesn't really go through any of that. So when I describe it to her, like I feel like when I was younger and I'd try to describe it to her, I was like scared her, because like there's a lot more stigma on like, oh, if you're depressed, you're probably going to try to kill yourself or something. And
yeah, especially when it's your mom, like they're inherently concerned.
Of course, yeah. And it's like, so I've realized, especially as I'm older, it's like I'm able to make much more light of it. And it's like I've learned to live with it for this long anyways. Like what I experience, first of all, not that bad compared to a lot of other people, but also like I kind of have it on a grip. Like I don't really have suicidal thoughts and shit like that, so like I'm like, don't stress on that, but like we can still talk about it. But yeah, like I like something like that. I feel like something like that, I could say that to her and she would understand, because more of what that feels like.
It's a nice thought in a way, because it's more saying in a way that you're not disharmonious, but that the world is just not in harmony with where you are at the moment.
Yeah, it's not that one's right and one's wrong. It's just it's not aligned at the second.
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt good to hear someone say that. So thanks, John Vervecki. I don't know if his implications were the same, but that's what I took from your words, good sir.
Hell yeah.
Should we do this?
Yeah,
Tattoo regrets.
Yeah, let's talk about it. You know, listen. Pull buddy's perfect, right? We all make mistakes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know, sometimes you leave the fridge unplugged overnight after you record a podcast. You know, sometimes you oversleep and leave your good knife at home and you got to use the shitty peasant knives at work. You know, it happens all the time. Sometimes you smoke too much weed and you get afraid to record a podcast in case your breathing is too loud or some shit like that. You know, whatever dumb thing that you did, you can rest assured someone else has been in your shoes before.
That's true.
Sometimes we even make long-lasting decisions whose ramifications are far more dire than originally intended. The aftermath of your choices hung like a stone around your neck, challenging you, a constant reminder of who you once were, who you once thought yourself to be. A charlatan with painted skin, spinning a fiction to cover the misdeeds and foolish nominations that you once thought were faultless.
Dude, that's so funny, man. Some people's tattoos should be that. I think we talked about it a little bit the other day. There was a tattoo shop that does free racist tattoos like swastikas and SS bolts and shit, as long as they're on your face or hands.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so clever.
You should wear it.
Because then
it should be a reminder every day, and everyone around you should see it.
And they know.
Be aware of it as well. Yeah.
It's one of those things. It goes back to freedom of speech. Like, these social media platforms and such should be embracing freedom of speech a lot more than they do, because it allows the people to say the fucked up shit, and then we have the evidence they said it, that we know who they actually are, type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird word.
It is. It's weird is not a bad way to describe it.
And
I was
tattoo.
going to say it sucks, but there's sometimes when it's good, and if it's both, then it's wild, then it's weird.
But tattoos are such a good. You know, you're marking your body at a period in time, and it's intended to be there forever. And while that can be changed, I think there's some both really good and really bad reasons that it's there to be there for a while, you know? There's permanence to it. Most people, we're going to find out, most people don't tend to regret them, but some people do. And today we're going to look at an article about this from psychologytoday.com titled, Why Most People Don't Regret Their Tattoos by Bentsi Nene. I
think that's Bence Nene.
Bence Nene. It's a.
I also have no fucking idea.
It's an aesthetic name though. It looks cool.
Yeah.
Good letters.
Yeah.
Good. Your parents did good. Bence Nene. Even before my first tattoo, dumb old people have always told me I would regret the changes I made to my body. Like Catholic school, tattoos were such a taboo thing. Like, in our lifetime, it's changed so much.
Yeah, super. I mean, crazy change on that.
It used to only be like pirates, criminals, and soldiers, and then like really fucked up weird people. And in our lifetimes, it's changed so much. But growing up, it was always, you get them, imagine how you'll look when you're old, you'll regret it type of thing. And it's just constantly, that was the social zeitgeist.
Yeah.
And I've always found the various methods of tattoo removal, from cover-ups to blackouts, laser shit, like, that shit's fascinating.
Yeah.
As a form of body modification in its own right. And I'm finally at the point in my life where I can kind of get most of the modification done. Like, whatever I could imagine, I can kind of do at this point. But I've always wondered if I could have done anything I wanted at a younger age. I think there would be a lot of things I would regret, or would have at least have changed. And I'm kind of curious how what that mental process looks like. You know?
I really do I find very fascinating the cover up kind of work that's like someone comes in with a shitty old tattoo and they're like, I'm sick of looking at this. Can someone please help me? And an artist, a literal artist takes what they had and turns it into, or masks it into, something phenomenal and beautiful. That
it's amazing.
It really, I can only imagine the kind of lifestyle feeling that person would have change like overnight like that, of like something that you looked at and regretted for so long that suddenly you feel like, okay, this is right again. I feel good again too. I can wear short sleeves now and shit.
Like some of my favorite like tattoo concepts are people that have like amputations or mastectomies, like from breast cancer and stuff like that, where they use the tattooing as a way of aesthetically repairing or covering or hiding scars. Like that shit's so fucking cool. Like, I don't know. That's awesome. But you want to kick this article off?
Yeah, I think I will.
Let's get into it.
We don't always think before we ink. But even if we do, this doesn't mean that we will always like the design that we chose for our tattoo. According to a new large-scale questionnaire, more than 25% of Americans regret their tattoos. You may think this is a high ratio, but when we take the extremely rapid change of our aesthetic preferences into consideration, it is in fact shockingly low.
Do you think 25% is high or low?
I think it's very low. I mean, I think it's 25 is a decent amount, but then the other question is like, do they regret this tattoo in a way that's like, oh, I wish I had never done this, or I wish I'd done something different, or this is ruining my life. I regret this so much because it's like, detrimental to my life. Yeah. Kind of thing.
And then there's also like, I feel like most people that probably regret a tattoo, it's like they probably have like 20 tattoos and regret a couple, Yeah,
exactly.
It's kind of a complicated thing to quantify. But as a person who loves body modification, I see a lot of tattoos that I wish people regretted.
Is it more of a thing of like, I regret getting this tattoo on my arm because I had this awesome idea for this other thing that would have looked really good there instead, but now I have this and I'm stuck with it.
Well, I mean, I see tattoos on other people sometimes where like, I regret that they got it. And I'm like, shit, I wish you regretted it too. Like, to me, 25% sounds kind of low, but it sounds like an appropriate number. Like, it's reasonable. We know that aesthetic preferences change very quickly. Recent findings show that we change our minds about music, films, and visual arts as frequently as every 2 weeks, and there is no reason to believe that tattoo art would be an exception. Even if you found your tattoo to be the most beautiful design ever when you got it a year ago, it is extremely unlikely that you would have the same attitude now.
You may think, well, maybe some people, but not me. And we are, indeed, very good at denying even the possibility that our... Sorry. Hold on. I got fucking snot running out my nose. Hold on.
Hey, be a hard man. Leave it.
Yeah, I felt my voice turning more and more nasally.
Record through the snot like a hard man. Hard men don't use tissues.
Dog, I got name brand tissues with lotion in them. Got the softest possible tissues.
That's soft man shit. A real hard man just uses rocks. The sicker I get, the less I care where my snot goes. Yeah. Like this morning, my pants were covered in snot. I just didn't give a shit. Like, I'm not getting up for a tissue. I just wipe this all over my pants. Who cares?
Well, I usually have a box of tissues near me, but like, if I'm like really feeling shitty, like I'm not getting up to go throw them away. Like I'm just gonna make a pile next to my desk or something.
That actually is disgusting. Sarah does that too. I don't understand.
That's worse than wiping it on your clothes and shit.
Yeah, absolutely. At least the boogers are on me instead of in a pile.
But the pile I can throw away.
That is a biohazard you're sculpting out of neglect. Go get a trash can. Just gonna leave them all piled up like a car accident.
I mean, I'm gonna throw them away eventually. I don't when I'm sick and shitty and I'm blowing my nose every 5 minutes.
The people that say they'll get to them eventually are the same people that leave them there for half a week.
It's the same people with the dishes in the sink that are overfilling the sink.
Degenerate, mentally ill people.
You may think, well, maybe some people, but not me. We are indeed very good at denying even the possibility that our aesthetic preferences will ever change. This is a special case of the end of history illusion, a well-established psychological phenomenon that shows how we, mistakenly, consider ourselves to be a finished product. We may have changed in the past, we are different from the way we were 5 years ago. But that's the end of the story. From now on, we will not change. And this bias applies to aesthetic preferences as well. We may have liked different music 5 years ago, but we are sure that we will like exactly the same kind of music in 20 years as we do now. As end of history illusion studies show, we are amazingly, consistently wrong about this. And so you will, or at least should, like your tattoo less over time.
All right, this is why I chose this article. This concept, the end of history illusion.
Very cool.
I find fascinating.
Yes.
Do you think of yourself as the finished product?
Not in like such a term like that, but I definitely relate. As I read that the first time, I related to it.
Yeah.
Because I've thought to myself about like, when I think about like who I was when I was, 15, who I was when I was 18, who I was when I was 20, 23, 25. Like, if I look at that person, I feel like in my head, they're all very different people.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's still me at like a certain level, but they're all very different people. But I feel like each time I've done that in my life, done that introspection, because I've done it before when I was like 25, looking back at, 18 or whatever. And now at 30, looking back at 18 and 25, both times I've done that, every time I've done that, I've also felt like, well, I might have thought, had like some, I don't even want to say it like it was like bad opinions or something, but it was just like, I might have, been a fucking idiot then, but like, at least I'm not now.
Yeah.
And it's like, I definitely am smarter and wiser through the experience of time, but also like, I don't know. It's like, I'm not even sure if it's that I think that I'm done changing, more that like, I don't even consider that that's an option.
Yeah. It would be really interesting if we had, you're in a room with a different version of yourself for every year. So you had an entire room of like the 30 whatever versions of ourselves.
Oh, Jesus.
And it would be like meeting different people. And the person we would relate most to is the most current version, right? The latest expansion pack. And
I picture just like a lineage of cringe.
But I would always like say the most current version of me is the most evolved, most advanced or whatever.
Well, yeah, hopefully.
But I never think of myself as fully evolved, right? Like I in a way, I feel Charizard vibes, but I want there to be another evolution. You know what I mean?
You gotta get the new generations where Charizard can turn into other shit. You can kind of Dynamax that shit.
But I'm very curious because this article stated with pretty strong conviction that most people consider themselves to be the final version. I don't know if that's true or if I just might be out of the norm with that. I do think people that are drawn to art, especially body modification, probably lean more towards not feeling at their completed evolution.
Mm-hmm. Like, I definitely feel like there's many things I want to learn still, many things I want to, do and see. But I still understand where they're coming from in the way of like feeling more of yourself than you have ever been before.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of the question of like, which version of you goes to heaven? Like, like, is it you as an innocent child before you hit the age of reason? Is it you at your old age? Like, who wants to be in heaven if you made it to 95 and you have cancers and liver failure? Like, what version of you is the version God wants to let through the gates?
Right.
I always thought that was a fun question to kind of expose some people's hypocrisy. Like, if, I don't know, there's so many weird questions that go into that. Where the idea of heaven becomes whatever the fuck they want it to be. It's just nonsense, but it's fun. I'm curious how many people really do think of themselves as final, right? I think we all have so much for good or bad reason, like untapped potential, even if it is to become a worse version of ourselves. Tons of people become worse versions of themselves, but to think of yourself as final, I feel like is a bad way to think, almost.
Mm-hmm.
Then why the shockingly low ratio of 25% of Americans who confess to regretting their tattoo? The answer has to do something with cognitive dissonance. This is the emotional reaction to a conflict between something we do and our self-image. Imagine you just took the last carton of milk in the shop. When you saw an older woman making her way to it. Our mind is very good at getting rid of the icky feeling that such mental conflicts induce. We can make ourselves believe, for example, that she was going for the sour cream, not the milk. Or we can just think of something else or check our phone. Excuses. We know we took the old lady's milk. And you know what?
That's why I took it. I don't even drink milk.
We should celebrate it. Either give it to the lady or rub it in her face that she was too old and slow to get the milk. Maybe she shouldn't have evolved so far and she could be swifter to get the milk. Okay, this old lady took her time. She had so many more years to get milk than us. And she failed. She wasn't quick enough.
No, you had so much time to get the milk.
Here's the thing. All right. Mental dissonance is basically acting against our own values. Often it's induced by acting against our own values, by by behaving a way that we disagree in our beliefs. And to take an old lady's milk when you know she was going to take it, to ignore that creates dissonance, right? And I feel like you just have to give it to her. Or not care, change your beliefs. And instead of changing your beliefs or changing your actions, most people find a way to distance themselves from that. That's like a huge addiction thing, is like the addict's brain causes them to act in ways they normally wouldn't, and you keep creating more and more cognitive dissonance to find excuses for the way you acted, opposed to changing how you act or changing how you believe.
The thing was always with like cigarettes. It's like, all right, I'm gonna just finish this pack and then I'm gonna quit smoking, or I'm just gonna get one more pack and then I'm gonna quit smoking. And it's like, by the time you finish that pack of cigarettes, you are not in a mind to quit smoking.
And meanwhile, like, you lied to yourself
you say.
Like 100 times that you weren't going to smoke another one or whatever.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Every time you prove yourself a liar, you make it harder to prove yourself a truthsayer.
How many last cigarettes I had?
Yeah, Jesus. It's such a self-imposed romantic thing. Like, oh, this is the very last.
Yeah,
it's the last one I'll ever have, and then like 12 hours go by.
I've got two left. I gotta have one for now, and then like I'm gonna savor this one later on. I'm gonna make an event out of it. It's like you're gonna smoke that one while you're walking to the fucking corner store to buy more cigarettes.
Oh, this is my lucky last.
Yeah, exactly. I can't actually have this one as my last. This was lucky. Was for luck. Yeah. Something like cognitive dissonance explains why we are reluctant to regret our tattoos. Even if your aesthetic preferences have moved on, confessing to yourself that you will now forever have a tattoo that you don't actually like would lead to cognitive dissonance.
True.
So our way of getting rid of this negative feeling is to stick to the unshakable belief that the tattoo is amazing.
Kind of like my boy with the 12 dragon tattoos. Each one was better than the next.
Oh, I forget about it every time you bring it up. It's just the boy with the dragon tattoos.
I do think that's true. Like, admitting to yourself you have a bad tattoo would be pretty hard, or...
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. Here's the thing. With tattoos, you don't really have control. You don't have full control of what you get. Like, there's a certain, like, leap of faith involved. And as a highly tattooed person, there's always going to be things you wish were a little bit better, or a little bit different. But there's a difference between that and the cognitive dissonance of, like, this is actually really bad. And objectively, if this was on someone else, I would not like it. And just creating excuses to yourself to think it's still good is like, it seems small. Like, it's just your tattoo. It's just a big chunk of your body. But that is like actually like a poisonous thought cycle to deny. Like, if you had something hideous on you and you made excuses your entire life to think it was good, that like actually is like a very negative thing impacting your psyche.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. But I think part of it too is a lot of people don't regret things because it objectively could be good to them. Right. Like if you're not like a big art, like think of how many like tough, like badass like fighter dudes or macho-y dudes that have like lame tattoos, but they're not artists, right? They're not like a big critical thinkers in aesthetics, right?
Yeah.
As long as it caught the vibe they intended, they probably wouldn't regret it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that like, there's a lot of dumb people with dumb tattoos that think they look good, but to them it might.
Yeah, exactly. As long as it does to them, I guess that's the only thing that really, really, truly matters at that point.
Yeah, but the idea of being stuck with a tattoo you actually hated actually would be sad or sucky.
Yeah.
But now there's so many more options to change it. There's almost no excuse to be stuck with it forever.
Except for, being broke or the investment
being
on
broke.
It. That's the number one.
That is the number. And that's a fair reason, but that sucks.
That's the main reason that I hadn't gotten a tattoo until now, actually, at all. It was just the idea of spending the money for it. And really, I was expecting it to be a lot more than it was. But it's not
quick, but
it's not super expensive.
It can be.
Yeah.
The thing I think it is like the people that are barred out of getting tattoos because of money, it's either they're just young and haven't had a chance to make much money yet, or just that they don't want it that bad. Right?
That's it. It's like I could spend my money on this and I would be fine. I would still be able to pay rent, pay whatever.
Right.
But I didn't prioritize it enough. I prioritized other shit to do with my money.
It wasn't justified in spending X amount of money because you didn't want it that bad at that point in time. Like I would have like bought many of my tattoos before I bought like an Xbox or whatever the fuck. Like I at some point, at different points in my life, needed shit on my body to change. So like, I don't know. It's such a individual thing, right? That money almost never rules it out. And then you think of like the people that do have like scratcher tattoos, kitchen tattoos. Like if you want it bad enough, you'll get something, for better or worse, right?
Yeah, true. I had kids I went to school with in, tech school, culinary school and shit, that one kid came in with a tattoo. It was a smiley face on his arm. And he said he got it for $10. It looked real bad. It looked like it was probably a stick and poke kind of a, guy used a ballpoint pen and then, fucked it up real bad. It looked awful. But the point being on that is like, sometimes it can be expensive to get a tattoo, but also you're probably going to get what you pay for out of it.
Absolutely.
I imagine if, you have a good artist that's like, you're paying for their experience and their time.
All the years of
Absolutely.
Of study and training that led them to be able to do that tattoo in that amount of time. But with that.
Exactly.
Yeah, people from the non-tattoo or non-art world do not understand how art is priced or how much art costs. It's such a, yeah. They're like, oh, it only took you an hour. It's like, but I spent my whole life learning this.
Yeah, I was going to say the thing was like, Josh told me it was going to be like, and he said about an hour, and then it was like 35 minutes went by, and he starts wiping it off, and he's like, all right. And I was like, I know you're not done yet. And he was like, yeah, looking, I might just get a couple spots back again, and then, you're all fixed up. I'm like, well, shit, dude. But like the way he was so matter-of-factly about everything, like you could tell, like this is absolutely not his first rodeo. This was just a thing.
Craft.
The equivalent of like, okay, I guess got to take the trash out or whatever. Like it's just super routine for
office.
him kind of thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just exactly what you want.
Yeah. This link between resistance to tattoo regret and cognitive dissonance is obviously important for understanding our attitude towards inking. However, it is also important for understanding various aspects of cognitive dissonance. The large-scale questionnaire about American tattoo regret has a lot of findings that would be directly relevant for cognitive dissonance research. For example, the survey found that women are significantly more likely to regret their tattoos than men. That's interesting.
Yeah.
They also tend to sit way better for tattoos.
I can believe that.
Yeah, it's often.
This difference is not explained by differences in our emotional life or aesthetic preferences, but by the fact that men are much more likely to do whatever they can to get rid of cognitive dissonance. Tattoo regret, then, could serve as a quick and convenient shortcut to studying one of the most elusive mental phenomena.
It's interesting. Like they're saying it's like a springboard to understand cognitive dissonance more.
Yeah, I think that's very cool.
I wish they gave more insight to, right? They're saying men are more likely to do whatever they need to get rid of cognitive dissonance, but they don't really go into why. I think that'd be interesting. Like
that's another article.
Yeah, because there's a lot of implications of that. Like, are men better at finding a good remedy, or is it more that women are better at adapting and avoiding a bad remedy to dissonance? You know what I mean? Like, there's a It is interesting though.
I tell you, Stephen, it depends on how hard the man is.
Yeah, I'm sure the hard men would have a strong perspective on this.
Yeah, they don't have any problems with cognitive dissonance. They'll do whatever they can, whatever they know how to kill and how to bring life into the world, and they'll do it.
Dude, in retrospect, I've been quite disappointed how that Pine Creek debate went, because I can't believe he was willing to concede some of those things. I more and more feel stronger about how I did, because I just can't believe I can't believe someone I respect so much in one area of study could just be so disappointing in another realm. That to me just does not compute. Yeah, I don't know, but I really do like how this concept of tattoo regret has so many implications into psyche stuff. Yeah,
I think that's really interesting that, we find new ways of researching, weird psychological shit from just, something that used to be taboo but is now, becoming more commonplace, like tattoos. I think that's like, it's two stories that you wouldn't really I don't know, if you were like trying to picture like, how does this lead, this move us toward the future? Like, what's going to happen in the future with this, act of tattoos becoming more popular and becoming more mainstream? I feel like that's one of the things, you don't predict that outcome. That's like just a cool side effect thing that happens.
Yeah, I feel that thinking on one hand. On the other hand, like, or in one way, it seems trivial, right? Like, it's just tattoos. It's just, a way we decorate our skin. And then on the other hand, I feel like, in a way, there's only so many other things more important than changing your physical form in this world.
Yeah, for sure.
It does. In a way, it's so trivial, right? What we look like. On the other hand, it's so telling how we decide to look too. I don't know. It's kind of confusing. I'm so interested in it though. I see you wrote some questions for us here. Do you have any? You just got your first tattoo. Do you have any regrets? I know you were joking earlier. Do you have any regrets with that, or do you have any other big regrets?
Absolutely not. No. I for especially for this tattoo, I love it. I really enjoy seeing it all the time. I can't remember if I said this on recording or not already, but I got a compliment that I didn't realize how impactful of a compliment it could be. I think it was my boss who said, I just had my sleeve rolled up one day while I was working, and he saw it, and he was like 2 days after I got it, and he's like, it looks like I didn't even like register as like, that's your new tattoo. It looks like it's been there. It looks like it should be there. It looks like it's been there this whole time.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, that's a really cool, because that was, that's affirming to, my own thoughts of like, I really like this. I think this is cool. I think this looks really nice where it's at. It feels good. Yeah. I absolutely not a single regret.
That's cool, man. Do you, considering the article mentioned it, do you feel like that could change with time? Because I've experienced changes in how I feel about different mods for sure, but I've never gone to loving something to hating it.
I feel not really. I mean, I feel like it's possible, I guess, but I feel like the only thing that I would regret from it is, as you've pointed out, is like, if I get a lot of like, if I have to keep explaining it over and over again to like random people, which I haven't. Like, I've explained it to people I worked with, but like randos are not asking me about it.
Yeah, and even that, it's like you're annoyed at them, not at the
Yeah,
art,
exactly. Like that's a thing. It's like, I don't know. There's other weird stuff that like I don't see it happening other than the thing I pointed out earlier of like, if I have an idea for something that would have looked better or something. But even then, like I'm really comfortable with this. I sat on the idea for like almost a year before I pulled the trigger on it. And, yeah, I definitely don't regret it.
Yeah.
But for, just for volume alone, you have to have some of them that you are not happy with.
Me?
Yes, you.
No.
No,
I'm happy with everything. There's some I like more than others, but even the ones I don't love or like wouldn't have got now, I'm still glad I have them. Like I have never had anything I would regret having got, for sure.
That's good.
Yeah, like in a way, I was just thinking of the thought, like when you have like ex-gang members who, they completely changed their way of life, right? And they want to get rid of those past reminders. That's probably like a healthy thing, right? Like
yeah, absolutely.
Because they're going from one extreme to another. But let's take someone that's more in the margins, less extreme, and they get a tattoo at 18 that at 30, they're like, no, I never would have got that. And let's say they get rid of it, right?
Yeah.
And it's a positive change for them. That's probably a good thing, but it's a indicator of other bad things that have changed in their psyche, right?
Mm-hmm.
For over for a 10-year period to change psychologically so much that you would hate a aesthetic choice you made to that extent is kind of a negative sign. Like, we're meant to change over time. Like, you never want to be exactly the same, and there's parts of you that you hope evolve or keep growing, but I don't think it's ever like necessarily going to be a healthy thing where you change so much that you actually regret something that was important to you like 10 years ago.
Yeah. I can see where, like, you know, if you're 18 and, like, you know, especially in the modern age of being able to put yourself out on social media and shit, like you become a hype beast at like 17, like 18, you get a tattoo on like your face of like some logo for your YouTube channel or some shit. And then, you know, by the time you're 26, like your channel's been fucked over a bunch of times, or, you know, you're not doing the same shit anymore. Or you're not interested in the same shit anymore. So you got to get a regular ass job. And now you have this constant reminder of, you know, I can see where, like,
of a failure.
I still don't, I still don't know that I would feel like I regretted doing those things, but
like I have,
I can see wanting to get it removed.
Yeah. Like I have a prescription sign, the prescription RX on my side. And, right, like I'm sober now. I don't do prescription pills, right? I still would never regret that. Like, when you see, like, when a addict gets sober and they go, like, hardcore into Jesus and become, like, anti-drug or whatever, like, that, to me, is also cognitive dissonance. To change that far over, right? Like, things are meant to be more incremental, or I feel like healthy growth is more incremental. Like, the completely changing who you are is rarely a good thing. I think there's exceptions or times there can be, but I don't know.
When you're talking about like a marginal individual, not someone who's on extremes.
Yeah.
It gets different.
Know. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I wanted to tell you this. I think I've been on recording of saying that it's not that I'm against face tattoos, or I was against face tattoos. It's that I felt like there were better options. I felt like it's a bold statement. If you're going to do it, like, that's a fucking lot. I feel
there's
like
just a lot of bad ones.
Yeah, so that's
tattoos are rad.
I've come around to your side of, like, okay, face tattoos can be extremely dope, but also there's a lot of ones that do not look dope. Yeah, and especially the argument that made me think of that is, like, okay, more people are getting face tattoos, you know, now than ever, which means that in 40 years we're going to have, you know, old people walking around with grandmas and grandpas with face tattoos, and that's cool.
That's rad. Hell yeah.
That's dope as fuck.
It's fun. And old people, I hate that. You're going to look, when your skin's saggy, like, it still looks cool on old people.
Yeah, it still looks fine. Also, tattooing's gotten a lot better than it was, you know, in the fucking 50s and shit. Like, all right, how about you'll be fine.
How about this? You know, we're talking about tattoos, but more about the cognitive dissonance and end of history illusion. What about other regrets? Do you have any big life regrets?
I really don't think that I do. I wrote that question in the notes here, and I was thinking, like, specifically I meant tattoos, but also I don't think I have any major, like, anything that I think that, like, sure, there are things that I think that, like, if I could do these minor things slightly differently, like, that would have been cool, or if I could have presented this in a better way, maybe, like, but it's not like large regrets. It's more, I think everyone has the, you know, you think of, you mentioned, you have you're in a room with, yourself at every age, and it's like, I really do. I think of the different cringe things I did or said. It's like those moments that catch you right when you're like, you're minding your business and you're driving and you think of that thing and you're like, fuck, man, I don't want to think about that. Or like when you're trying to go to sleep and you think about that thing you said to that person or that thing you said to some girl or something, or it's like, no, I don't let that be the thing let me just get away from that. That's not me. That was a different person.
Yeah. But you wouldn't,
but other than that,
change anything major?
No. I've thought about that question a lot of like, not even like regrets of things of my own, like my own choices, but like things that I didn't have control over that happened. Of would I change
things
this
that
thing
to you?
Yeah, exactly. And I think the resounding answer would be, I mean, no. I'm sure if I really sat down and tried to itemize things, I might come up with stuff. But then again, it's like, it'd be minor things that I could discuss and think about, but I don't think I would follow through with it because if, at the end of the day, it led to me being where I am now. And I think I'm in a good place considering, obviously everyone wishes they could go back and invest a bunch of money in, different, internet shit or whatever before it really popped off, or different brands before they popped off, but that's time travel shit and that's not what we're talking about. What about yourself?
Man, I always, you hear this question asked all the time in different various interviews, documentaries and stuff. And there's kind of, there's two routes you can go down. Is I have no regrets because it made me who I am.
Yeah.
Or I have a ton of regrets. And I feel like depending on what day you ask me, I could go down either path.
Mm-hmm.
I think at my most honest, I definitely have a lot of regrets. But I don't know if I would change all of them or any of them even. Like there's so many times, like if I could go back and stop myself, there's so many times I wouldn't have got behind the wheel of whatever vehicle. I wouldn't have brought it to some stupid place. I wouldn't have done the extra shot. I wouldn't have would have tried harder to keep a friend alive, or tried harder to keep a relationship going or whatever. But now I don't wish those things would have played out different, and I don't think it's because of the like it made me who I am. I don't really like that answer. I think all the mistakes I made that I can regret, it sounds almost like determinist, like, oh, it was, we had no free will. We had no true freedom. It was all in the cards. Like our choices are illusions to some extent. It's how things always were going to be. I don't feel that. I own those decisions. I made my choices. I believe in my freedom of will. But I do truly feel like all the things I regret, I was trying my best with who I was at the time. Mm-hmm. Like I know I fucked up a lot of things, but I really feel like there's very few times in my life where I wasn't trying my best with what I had, with who I was, with my current situation. And I feel like as long as I was like trying my best with what I had, I feel like to regret is only to like impose self-harm at that point.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't hear people say that a lot, though. I feel like it's either you crucify yourself, you go down the one path, crucify yourself, say, I did so many things wrong. Or, you go like, no, I'm fucking dope. I figured it all out perfect. And there's not, like, yours was pretty in between. That you would have some regrets, but they're all nothing major. I feel like that's a fair answer.
It's not things that I feel like if I had, to make the choice to turn back time and try to, redo those things, like, would I do it? And it's like, I don't know. Cause like, I'm not saying I could do it right now either. I'm not saying I could, and I don't know how much that's going to change kind of shit. Like, I don't, would it make my life a better place to live? I don't know. I doubt it.
Yeah.
Most of the things that I, have, regret for is like, it's like I said, it's not really even regret. I don't think it's safe to call it that, but I think you're right. I think part of it is like, I don't feel like it's fair to say I regret something because I don't feel that way. And it's not like to feel that way about things that I'm comfortable with. If I were to instead feel bad about them, it's like, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't turn back time. I can't fix those things. So even if I wanted to, like, I'm just hurting myself by wanting to, by thinking about it, by dwelling on that. So yeah, I agree with you that it is harmful to bear that kind of weight on yourself.
Yeah, the responsibility of all of your actions as like a scarlet letter. I don't know. Very
understandable to have regrets. Like, absolutely. Yeah. If you have something in your life that does hold you, something in your heart that makes you think about it, like on any kind of regular basis, like, yeah, that's normal. That's totally fine. And, it's going to be different for each person individually, but I feel like to be honest with it and recognizing in the things that, like, you can't change, like you said, like, understanding that it's not that you wouldn't want to, or you wouldn't never try to. It's that you can't. So why, what, you're just going to sit here and be a martyr to yourself and be upset all the time? Like,
yeah, my life has just changed so fucking much too, and I don't like, and I don't have the need to look back much. Like there's like one day of every year specifically that I spend some time in the past, and outside of that, the past is kind of dead to me. Like even the like feelings of closeness to people. If that person isn't in my life presently, it's just all dead. Like it's a waste and a harm to stay there. Like even like the awkward conversation. I recently said something dumb to one of my current tattoo artists I really respect. I don't want to say her name now, but like said something like dumb offhand, and it's like I could try to like rectify it, but it wasn't a big deal. And like, what's the point? Like, it's behind. Like, if people don't know who I am, or like if I can't change it by just being who I am going forward, then there's no point. Like, fuck everything in the past. Last week does not matter. Like, all that matters is a lot of people, it's like the present moment. And it's like, it's the present moment and ahead. Like, the only thing that there is no backward, there is only forward. And I've become, I used to be very sentimental and like backward looking. And I'm just so done with it. There's only forward. Hurdle the dead, trample the weak, forward. Because I am the hard alpha wolf.
You are the hard male. You are the biblically hard male.
I'm the guy Eric Kahn's talking about.
Well, speaking of the dead, I did find this little ditty, and I thought you would appreciate it.
Okay, run it.
So Bronnie Ware, she was a hospice worker. She worked with, different hospice care kind of situations.
That's tough.
That is really, boy, that's got to take a certain kind of person to handle that shit.
Yeah.
But she wrote a book. It started as like a blog post kind of thing, and she turned it all into a book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, A Life Transformed by the Dearly Departing. And she put together a list of the 5 most common regrets shared by people nearing death. That's cool. Would like to read those to you.
Yeah, do it.
I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. I wish that I had let myself be happier.
Those all sound like the classics, right?
Yeah.
They're good. I mean, I think a lot of people hold their truest version back a lot. And to, like, we're all forced down this pipeline of doing what we need to survive. But when you're in that pipeline, nothing else really exists. The feelings, the friends, the focus on happiness opposed to work. It's hard to feel all that when you're just kind of scrapping by. But so those I can understand.
Yeah.
But I think the one that I get frustrated with other people is not being their most true self.
Yeah.
Because that's something we do have control over, and anyone not letting you or like shaming you from being that don't deserve to be in your life.
Agreed.
Fuck everybody. Be Charizard.
Be Charizard. If anyone doesn't want you to be Charizard, you fire blast their shit. And
Charizard or die.
Charizard or die. The work so hard one, like, I've thought of that before. Like, no one's ever been on their deathbed.
Guilty
like,
as charged.
Thank God I worked so hard. Thank God I spent so much time on my career. You know, for me especially, like, I really do feel like I definitely know I prioritize my career, but also I do think I enjoy it. And I think, this article in particular made me think of it like the cognitive dissonance thing, how much of my feelings towards work are a way of me going like, to push off that regret of like how much of the time that I've spent for the last 15 years, what I say are, this is how I would have spent my time. And it's not, I come back and it's like, yeah, I can think of things that I would rather be doing, but also the things that I would rather be doing require money that I didn't have kind of thing. Or I require something else that I didn't have. And it's not, I don't know. I feel like there's something in that for me to chew on, but that's a thing I struggle with for sure.
I have mixed feelings because, we've talked about it on here. I think there's definitely something there worth you introspecting.
Yeah.
But I also think like, and I've told you so many times over the years, especially like when we were like first getting out of high school and stuff, because I was completely unstable and I was always like, dude, you're killing it. Like you're working so hard and like, being able to like stand your own. I always respected that. I think I think maybe there's an element like that you could have got lost in that a little bit, but you also did what you had to do. I think it's more, if anything, and you've changed a lot too, is that,
yeah,
I think more and more it's like okay to let it be a little less important. And you've definitely been doing that. It's,
yeah. This job in particular, pipeline. Yeah, this job in particular makes it easy to, wind down and like have a balance thing that is really nice. I do look at the last, all the years I spent in a, commercial kitchen doing all the crazy shit, like putting in all the hours, putting in all the work, learning with the different chefs and people and shit that like, I look at all of that as, like we said with the tattoo artist, like I'm able to relax now and like what I'm doing now is a lot easier because of the time that I spent doing that.
Yeah.
And it's not entirely, from that. The job is, it's a better environment. The people I work with are better, just a nicer people and people I want to spend time with and not just, fucking meth heads washing dishes and shit.
Yeah.
So there's a lot.
But you needed those skills and confidence that you gained. Exactly,
yeah. So I look at it as a cause and effect kind of thing of like, I wouldn't trade it at all. I don't regret it. But we're still young too. It's not like I'm,
bro, I
feel
going
60
old.
Next week. But yeah, exactly.
You feel like you're young. You feel like you're young still?
Not all the time. In comparison. And
I've lived the life of 10 meth heads. Yeah. I'm tired.
You've gone a little wild. So
Sarah told me the other day, she's like, thinking of how much you stay in the house and how rarely you leave makes me sick. she's like, I don't know how you feel okay. And I was like, what is there outside for me to miss out on? I've done it all.
Anything out there, I can find a video on YouTube and experience it here and all.
I've been to all the stupid bars. I've been to all the drug house. I've been to all the concerts. I've been to all the parks and pretty places. There's nothing. I would be okay in a jail cell. I don't need anything.
Like going to bars and shit like that, like I'm not going, if I'm leaving the house for anything other than work, it's because someone else wants
drug
like
you
I'm
there.
Doing something with someone else. Like it's not even so much drug me there, but like I'm happy going over someone else's house instead. I'm happy like doing as minimal as possible going out. What we're doing isn't as much of a big deal to me as the person I'm doing it with.
Absolutely.
So, like, if it's up to me, I'm in the house all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I went out, I made the executive decision to, I had the day off and I went to Home Depot because I had a gift card to use and I know my mom wanted some Christmas lights. I didn't have to do that today. I'm going out doing shit tomorrow. I could have stopped at both of those places tomorrow instead. It was just I might as well get it done today kind of thing. That shit's, I felt like there was a goal involved and that's the only reason that I was like, all right, well, I'll go now. If it wasn't for two different goals, if it was just the one, like, and again, one of them wasn't even for myself.
Yeah.
That was the other one. If it's for myself, fuck it. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it later.
Frankly, I'm just not very impressed by our world. What is it?
It's not that great, y'all.
It doesn't have much to offer me. Like, I want to make things. I don't have, like, you need life experience, right? I'm not saying don't do anything, but I've experienced enough for now. Right? Like, I just want to make things and be okay. And that doesn't require me to be mixing it up in the world, dicing it up. I got things I want to do inside of myself or things I need to figure out or whatever. And
got the Real Movers and the Shakers podcast over here, y'all.
All these flappers out there offering distractions, sweet distractions. I'm okay. I'm cool.
I don't know about you, but my fucking sinuses are killing me right now.
Yeah, this is going to be unlistenable. Let's get the
it's the progression into madness. Thanks again for listening, everybody. Thank you to Approaching Human for the use of his music. You can find his work on SoundCloud at Approaching-Human.
Thanks, John. This album cover is going to be dope. Happy birthday, brother. Belated happy birthday. And we're going to get this cover done soon.
Hell yeah. Make sure to check out the show page at Trashcat. Oh, man, I haven't fucked that up in a long time.
Trash Cat, Orphan Cat, Possum at
Instagram for news and art from the show. Check out Facebook for the memes.
For the memes. If you're super bored, you can check out my trashy art on Instagram at Skyzix, SKYZICX. Finally finished something. It'll be up there soon, probably by the time this episode's out. And yeah, we're kind of a mess right now, Trash Cats. We're scatterbrained. The bar is low. But 2024, year of the Trash Cat. We're coming back strong, okay? We're changing it up. YouTube is coming. Will be less new episodes, but long term, it's going to be a good thing. So we got some changes coming and bright future on the horizon. Just appreciate you guys sticking around and showing some support when you do. It's been really... My cat just got her claw stuck. Chill.
Oh, no.
Chill. Stop. Stop. Oh, my God. What an idiot. She got her claw stuck on a zipper.
Oh, no.
She freaked out. Oh,
my
God.
favorite's when they get their claws stuck on like one of those big tube things and they fucking run through the house with it and they can't get off.
That looked like it actually hurt. I'm gonna have to check on her. She really got it.
Oh, poor thing.
She's never done that. She jammed it in a zipper on the couch and like had her full weight pulling against it. She didn't understand how her claw worked.
No.
She's not very bright, but she is pretty.
That's gonna be all for us today. Stay classy, eat trashy.
Go fast, eat trash. Oh my God. Dude, she was screaming for so long. I feel like an eternity passed. She wouldn't let me help her.